Okay, welcome League of Average Gaming. My name is Tacobowler from Tacobowler Gaming, and this is a timeline tutorial of my playthrough of Switzerland over on my channel, going for 3 achievements: Switzerlake, Holiest Roman Empire, where we have to have the Pope as a elector with a Catholic empire. Switzerlake is owning 99 provinces without having a coastal province as Switzerland, and it does have to be Switzerland. It can't be 3 leagues. And the third one was global hegemony, where you have to be one of the 3 hegemons and have 100% power. We went for the economic hegemon, and we'll deal with that in a moment. So Switzerland is kind of in a precarious position here in the middle. You have Austria on one side, you have Burgundy, which is very, very powerful with all their PUs up here on the other side, and then you have free cities bordering you. You can take over the 3 leagues. It is a hard war. 3 leagues are very military-based ideas, but that is good. It took some developing, and we were able to finally get out. You'll notice we took Milan here. We did vassalize them, or release them as a vassal. We will eventually reconquest here. We do manage to get these territories, sneak them away from Austria pretty quickly. Now I want to pause here. You can see Milan. We've reconquest a lot of Milan. That is a vassal. And then if you look over here, the Burgundian inheritance went to Oldenburg. And they actually inherited them pretty well, like actual inheritance. But they were weak because they were Oldenburg. And I was able to use France. France was an ally at this point. The Papal State was an ally at this point. I was able to use France to jump on them, take 1 province. I released Burgundy. I had to give 1 to France to do that. And then I will use Reconquest for Burgundy as well over here. And at this point, I'm just trying to grow as much as I can. I would integrate Milan. I took this one up here. You can see I take the rest of Burgundy. I took some of Savoy over here. Savoy's going to get dogpiled. And we'll take the rest of Savoy around and eventually just take the nations that took it. So eventually we'll attack Saluzzo, for instance. Eventually we'll turn on Genoa. Genoa was an ally at this point. Basically, I'm just trying to grow as quickly as I can, as much as I can, without making the Emperor mad, without having to fight Austria or France. That was the main thing here. And soon it became Spain. You'll notice that Spain takes a lot of Italy. You can see Spain's taking the English Channel up here. Spain became a massive problem in the early 1500s, and we would fight them back, but it would take a long time. It would take until the League War, actually. So about this point, France decided they didn't want to be friends anymore because we were growing out toward them, and so we fought them. And we beat them back with the help of the Papal State. You can see we had to give some land to the Papal State. And I would ultimately regret that because they attacked Provence, and so they took land I wanted, and that was not fair. So the second war with France has now happened, and I took these up here, and I had to piece out because this is when the League War happened, in the 1500s, here, late 1500s, and France and Spain were against me. And so France was immediately occupied again. You'll notice that they will have a bunch of vassals that get popped out. Austria will also force Spain to pop some vassals out in Bologna and Lucca. I will quickly take Bologna. That is the end of the League War. So you'll see that kind of stuff happening there. And it's a free-for-all to take that land. Genoa took Lucca. In fact, I think Genoa may have been a vassal at this point. I know they will eventually be a vassal. But I took Bologna, we got Lucca into Genoa. Spain still has some of this land. I would continue to dogpile them as I went. I will then turn and I will attack France to take these 3 here. Or is it 3 or 4? 3. And I will then attack Orléans. And you can kind of see that our borders are starting to solidify what they're going to be. At this point, England actually took France under the PU. I don't know how they still had that CB, but they did. This is also the time I turn on the Papal State. You can see I took a province from them here. I've also defeated Spain all the way down. And I traded the Papal State for Naples, which has turned into the 2 Sicilies, and tried to feed them some of the land down here where there's no longer middle provinces, so these are all coastal, so I don't need them. But this was to go for the Holiest Roman Empire. because I had to get the Papal State into into the Empire, and to do that I was going to full annex them and then re-release them from one of their cores. In the meantime, I have also taken Urbino as a vassal, Genoa as a vassal, and Aragon here as a vassal, so that I can get into Iberia. This mountain range was blocking me, so I had to take a subject to get over here. You'll notice that in taking the Papal State, I'm trying to feed some land to my vassals as well along the coastline. And we're doing that by trade node as well. This was to create as much income as possible for trade. And this is actually the save that I will eventually use for my trade tutorial, which is going to be coming out on my channel very soon, if it's not already out, depending on when League of Average Gaming decides to post this on their channel. But you'll notice that for Switzerlake purposes, I try and just get over to Iberia. The other thing about this is that I obviously had to become emperor. So about 1600-ish, I tanked my Republican tradition and became a monarchy. And then about 1640-ish, I actually took over as emperor. And so one of the things that afforded me was I was able to pick up random provinces in the empire. So I have a province here, I have a province here. So random provinces in the empire became mine. This one over here as well. I would eventually take that one. That adds to the 99, but it also allows me to have that extra force limit and to play that kind of game to where I didn't have to worry about the Emperor attacking me. So I'm pretty sure that this land grab here got me Switzerlake right here, and then once I had Switzerlake, I began to play off-stream. So the rest of what you're going to see here is off-stream or offline as I began to just head for that economic hegemon, and I was also setting myself up for the trade tutorial. So one of the things that happened here was that Spain didn't actually colonize that well. It was mostly Great Britain and Portugal. So you can see Portugal down here, they own a lot, and Great Britain owns a lot over here as well. But Spain had their colonies, their two colonies declare independence. So Mexico here, which is also down here, and Cuba, they were Spanish colonies. They declared independence. I will come in and try and take them. So I'm going to show up down here eventually. Holland actually owns this. I think that's how I get down there. So I steal this from Holland. And I will show up here to take Brazil as just a way to get over into this area. And then I will... so there I am. There is me, Switzerland, so that I can now attack Cuba. What I'm mainly going for is, indeed, the Caribbean trade node. You can notice I'm also here. Switzerland and Benin will be conquered soon. They were allied to Tunis. We're going to grab this land. And so I have some of the Ivory Coast trade node. And then staging point here for Portugal is going over here. You notice I'm also taking coastal provinces over here from Austria just to increase the size of my navy so that I can afford to come over here. And you'll notice that I have now gotten into Caribbean with the colony named Trade Hub. And essentially we're just trying to take over as much as we can of the trade nodes here in Genoa, Iberia, Ivory Coast, and the Caribbean. And so it took like 3 wars, I think, to actually take all of the Caribbean, but I managed to get that done as well. And all the time, we're just trying to increase the income, increase the income, increase the income. And that's the name of the game. And eventually we will get over 1,000. I think it was 1729 that I got over 1,000, and then it's just a matter of waiting for the hegemon power to be complete. And it was done in roughly the beginning of 1746, and then I obviously recorded my trade tutorial, and that took a couple of months. But that is my Switzerland game here. Let's go over here. You can see I have 168,000 ducats because I ran out of stuff to spend money on. But you can see that I am making 1,400 ducats in income right now with a balance of 800 because I just can't spend it fast enough. We have the economic hegemon, and we have 100% power on that. So you can also notice that we do have those 3 achievements: global hegemony, Holiest Roman Empire, and Switzerlake were completed in this run. For ideas, I took Innovative first because when you're playing in the HRE or you're playing a nation that's going to be tall, Innovative is never a bad idea. Then we took Plutocratic because, again, Plutocratic is never a bad idea, and I was a Republic at the time. Then I took Diplomatic because Diplomatic is the best idea group in the game. Then I took Offensive and Influence for Vassal. This was back when I thought I was going to have to revoke the privilege and use that vassal income to get to the economic hegemon. Didn't wind up happening, but Influence isn't a bad idea anyway. Trade ideas to try and get the money through trade and to set up the trade video. And then administrative ideas, specifically because of what they do with trade. Trade efficiency. They're at 20%, but it was also, not that bad of an idea for governing capacity. I did run into some governing capacity problems in the mid-game, but I was able to work out of them, and now I have, plenty of governing capacity. You can see how much money I'm making with that much governing capacity. I don't think it's that big of a bottleneck as much as I expected it would be. But that's the basicness of Switzerland. Switzerland was an interesting nation to play. Your starting position is strong for the HRE, but your neighbors are stronger. And so it is something you have to really use everything you can to get out of. I got a little bit lucky for Milan, was able to jump on them when a bunch of other nations were jumping on them as well. So you have to kind of look opportunistic to get out of your starting position, but also it's really difficult to beat you in your starting position with the hills and the mountains and everything that's there. So it's a fun nation to play, particularly if you're going to keep it as a republic. And Switzerlake is one of the more common, hard achievements to be gotten in the game. I would encourage you to play Switzerland if you haven't already played Switzerland, and if you're looking for a game happening in the HRE. And I have been Tacobowler Gaming. If you enjoyed this, I would encourage you to please click the link in the description and head over to my channel with it and watch the playlist for Switzerland and for my Switzerlake campaign. You'll see that I began with the 3 leagues, so you can get a little bit there, and then found out that they can't get Switzerlake, so I switched over to Switzerland. And so I would encourage you to go check that out. It just ended recently, and so go check that out and check out some of my other videos over there if you haven't yet seen anything that I have done. But I have been Tacobowler Gaming for the League of Average Gaming, and I'll see you next time.